What do I say about the? Do I say anything about the space in between episodes, or just welcome back to the tea room?
We're gonna keep that in, and we're just gonna say welcome back.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the tea room. We're happy to be back with you again. Uh, we like to have tea whenever we feel like having tea. So I shouldn't have said that. Sorry. To my third cup of tea, right?
Vitamin water?
Yeah, the vitamin water tea. I'm having vitamin water tea. Our
Oh,
first sponsor to come.
What if they really sponsored and they were like, what does it taste like? And
it's delicious.
Like, it's giving bold, it's giving body.
And with a hint of pomegranate. As usual, I'm Tara and this is Elle.
Hi.
And this is the tea room in the House of Nerd.
And also, thank you to everybody who joined us in the premiere last month. It was a super fun time. We had a great time with you guys. And you know, our only directive here is to do better than Sergio's video solo. And so we really got to rally here, guys. We really have to, because his Blue Beetle video has some views on it. So
coming in strong.
We got to get it together here. So I might even throw in some like special effects to make it real exciting here. Maybe some fighter jets or you know that sound, like, yeah, some pew pew. I was about to say.
How did I know that automatically?
Yeah, some rave sounds or something. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, we can just cut straight into it. We have a couple books we're excited to tease. And then we have some insert teas here. Yeah. No Sergio. And then we have some gossip, some TV shows we want to talk to you guys about. And then some housekeeping where we apologize for the episode.
For all the things that we said leading up to that point. It's the most important segment.
So let's play our super professional. I'm gonna insert music over it.
I'm trying not to snort laugh right now.
Let's breathe. Let's breathe. Let's take a vitamin water breath.
Let's do that. I need a water and vitamin water.
Oh, you need a double two-handed?
I need a shotgun. Today's theme is things you didn't know about your co-host.
Teaser. Just imagine like sparkly genie music here.
And big swallow at the end, sorry.
Oh, that's for the paywall. Small swallows for you guys only.
Yes.
And polite swallows. It's so funny. We spoke on this right before this for an hour and a half, actually. And I forgot which one we were going to do first already.
I'm glad it's not just me, because I forgot. I think, was it the Joneses?
The Joneses? Okay, so AWA is doing something super cool where they're releasing the Resistance Universe, the Origins, in one volume. It's like 300 pages, $20.
That is awesome.
And you get the volumes of the Resistance, and then you also get like the issue ones of like the Joneses, the Moss, and the other tie-ins into the universe.
That's a great idea.
And so up first though, but we're gonna be focusing on the Joneses, which is was my you know what, it wasn't my introduction into the universe. The Moss was. Okay. Because I didn't realize that Moss was a tie-in into anything, but I really enjoyed it, and there's so many pages in the first issue that just blew my mind, especially that last page. It was just such beautiful pages, and the concept too, of Moss. But for the Joneses specifically, I feel like it was such a good intro into the universe without having to know anything about it, because it just worked on its own. With limited knowledge of background.
I'm the perfect example for that. So I did a cold read of the Joneses and loved it. It was a real page turner, and they got so many things to me. They were so on point about so many things about the family, along with the story that they were telling. I think that's one of the things that attracted me to it.
And here we have the It's probably a Deodata. Is that how you say his name? Mike
I hope
Deodata.
so. That's the way I say it in my head all the time.
Cover where he kind of uses like celebrity images, which is a little bit misleading. And you know
Hmm.
what? I'm gonna be real with you. Sometimes celebrity imagery on covers throws me off.
Me too.
But I will absolutely say that the interiors are different, and I
I
super
like
into
them.
them.
Hmm.
Because right here we have who Zendaya, old girl from True Blood,
Oh yeah.
Rogue, Lakeith,
Yes.
and who would the little guy be? I
I'm
was
not
thinking
sure.
the guy from the little kid from Blackish,
Oh yeah, that
the
would fit.
son. He kind of
Yeah.
looks like him.
Yeah, that would fit.
But yeah, you have your quintessential mixed race family. Relatable.
Yes, very
I
relatable.
too have a white mom.
Mine is a few generations back, but and it was a dad, but that's a whole different story when we're
So you
having a
have your
discussion about other parts of history and enslavement.
you have okay.
Yeah.
We'll get into that next. No, I'm just
Welcome
kidding.
to me 101. Yeah.
Welcome to life. Welcome to
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, exactly.
So here we have I think his name is Tommy, right?
I think so. Hope
The
so.
kids kind of have antiquated names in this book, Tommy and
Yeah.
Agatha.
Yeah.
Um,
I
which I
forgot
would
their
have had.
names.
I
I'm
wish I
sorry.
would have had like the nerve to name my kids like like. Well, I can't say that because my son's name is Warren.
Yeah, but that
It's like
has like a
old
OG,
money.
but that has an OG flavor to it for us too. Yeah, it sounds like Warren
Uh-huh.
Buffett instead of Warren G. But
And well, Warren, and what's so funny? I play regulators for him
I
constantly,
love that.
and
Yeah.
he does know that he's named after Angel
Okay.
from X-Men, Warren Worthington.
Oh, okay.
They have similar last names, so we thought it would be really fun. And it's so funny because off topic, like we were gonna constantly do.
That's what we
Um,
do.
I remember one time we went to like this baby registry place,
Hmm.
and the guy was like, "Oh, what are you gonna name him if he's a boy?" And we're like, "Oh, Warren." And we said his last name, and it like clicked instantly, and he was like, "Angel," and I was like, "Oh my god, thank you so much
It's like
for
a
validating."
good sign. Yes.
Yes, and he was like, "Your guys' last names are so close." I was like, "I know it's gonna be so cool,"
That's so
and
cute.
so but yeah, we have Tommy and Agatha. And Tommy, you belong. You're enough. Zero tolerance bullying. He's being very much bullied here.
He very much is.
And I think it's funny because I want to presume that there's a lady introduced later on like the like what would you call it, like the city council,
Okay.
Judy,
Yeah.
Judy, and they're like, oh yeah, her sons are awful. So like in my head, this is like Judy's
They've
son.
got to be.
And it's so
Please.
funny because in the book her name is like Judy Conte, but in my head I was like Judy Cunt.
That's exactly what I did. I thought it was just me.
No.
I was like, they had to have named her that for a reason, and I know what the reason is.
Judy is a C word. See you next Tuesday. And so this kid is being bullied, and we're like, hey, like, why are you picking on it? He's like, not doing anything.
No,
And
not at
then
all.
we don't know that's his sister yet, but his sister is like, get out of here. So then
Right.
we have this city council meeting. You know what? Maybe we should say what the Joneses is about.
Oh, that. So,
Mhm.
so the Joneses is about, well, okay, where do I start? So it's about a family after, I forgot the thing, I just
The
dropped
Great
everything. I'm
Death.
sorry.
No, the Great Death.
There's an apocalyptic event happens, the Great Death, and afterwards some people have powers and they're called reborns.
Hmm.
And there's a stigma attached to being reborn, even though it gives you really cool powers.
Think
Is that a good
Civil
way to
War. Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Think Civil War. And so this family has been through that situation and are trying to hide the fact that they are reborns.
The whole family.
The entire family.
For which
Yes.
I'm not sure how rare that is, since I'm
I
not
don't
like
know.
100% caught up on the world of the Resistance.
I am not either, sadly.
But
But I'm
yeah, so
excited about
like
it because of this.
so at this point in the timeline of the Resistance, it is known that there are people who have had powers since whatever Great Death it was,
Hmm.
and this whole entire family, father, daughter, son, mom, they all happen to have
Not me counting on my fingers. Wait.
Look, I tried to, in my head, I was like, did I say that right?
Mother, father, son, daughter, however you want to say
it. They all happen to get powers, and it was very, like, well, we can get into it right here. We have, the son can teleport people or himself. Mm-hmm. The daughter is super fast. The dad can, like, transform, like, into, like, rock or, like, some kind of shell, like, exoskeleton.
Yeah.
And the mom has some kind of, like, I don't think it's nuclear, but I think she has some kind of, like, explosive power.
Yeah, some kind of, yeah.
And
sorry, that was very articulate.
No, it's
the mom.
Yeah, okay. The mom is very much like, you know, we need to keep this a secret. We need to stay under the radar. The dad is secretly taking jobs on the Citizen app, where it kind of like informs you where there's crimes taking place, and the daughter is quickly following in his footsteps. And then the son, Tommy, he's kind of a scary. He's scary. He's like, no, mom said no. So
I'm not going to bust that out. Yeah. They're on the verge of having to make a decision about all
that. And so it's very, the dynamics, and then even with the city council, it's like, these are people who you've lived around, you know, for probably years. And nothing was probably ever an issue up until now. And so now we're seeing the lines, kind of similar to politics, where I'm pretty sure up until, you know, 8 years ago, it never really was an issue until it was an issue.
That's why it's feeling very relatable.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And so we see, like, our, you know, protagonists, like band together. There's like some bad guys, like, robbing a bank, and they have, like, molecular energy weapons, because they make it clear that, like, we're not like you freaks. Which is so funny, because it's like, you're utilizing technology
from it, but we're not like you.
But we're not like you. Chill, stop. You're a freak, I'm not.
Exactly.
And also, like, the father-daughter aspect, I was like, I'm super into, because I like
the relationship a lot.
I was a daddy's girl as well.
I was not, but I wanted to be, so there.
We'll deep dive into that next episode.
Yeah, next time.
And then just like the husband and wife, you know, trying to, like, explore, like, what do their difference of opinions mean when they promise forever to each other? Which is to me was, like, one of the most important things in this, because neither of them asked for this. Neither of them went into this marriage knowing
no one knew this could happen.
How do you explore this post great death, you know? And so to me, that was, like, a really compelling aspect to this story. And even now, like, having read, you know, the trade, it's still, to me, this first issue, which is included in the Resistance universe, the Origins, it's still very compelling, because, again, like, how do you navigate something you didn't expect, but now you have to deal with the whole family? It's not just you. It's not just two. It's all of you.
And that's so different. Even dealing with the relationship aspect changes, because everybody puts the kids first when you have kids. All the things that you have to do, the dynamic. Yeah, sorry, I'm spouting.
No, because we can speak on that, because
it's very thought-provoking.
A lot of people, I see it being controversial, where they're like, no, like, I put my spouse first and then my kids.
It's not that simple.
And for me, I agree to an extent on that, because I do believe that, like, if my relationship is secure with my husband, then my kids will be straight.
Yeah.
But also, I see where if my kid was ever said anything, or you know, anything went left, I absolutely would be like, no, my kid is coming first.
Right, because how could you not?
But as long as it's a healthy relationship, which I feel like in this it is healthy, they're just questioning. They're just questioning what's happening. I absolutely do feel like the core, you know, you have to work on that core in order for them to follow. And I think the differences here just comes in her being scared and him thinking, I have to do what's right.
And both of them have good reasoning. You know what I mean? Like, nobody seems like they're coming out of left field. There isn't a sense of aligning with one over the other. Aligning. I made up a word.
It's okay.
But that's okay.
Just say it fast.
Oh, okay. Aligning. It's a word.
but even with it being even also so like not only it being like a powered situation, like they're also an interracial relationship,
They
which
handled that well, I thought.
which also I feel like even in modern times can be like a tricky situation in certain areas, especially suburban areas.
Yeah.
And so I thought that it was handled like the parallels were handled so well in this for even in the first issue.
Mm-hmm.
Um and again, it's like I don't feel like they hate each other. I don't feel like they dislike each other.
No, they're
It's
just
just
in a rough
like
spot.
they're both like, what can I do to protect my family? And they're
Yes.
fundamentally have different opinions because, of course, the plight of the black man is going to be different from the plight of a white woman. You know what I mean?
Why wouldn't it be? Yeah,
And
but they're
so,
still both plights.
but yeah, but they're still both plights, and especially when you're having to bring those together and
Right.
you're trying to make each other understand that. So
Reconciling all that together is difficult.
absolutely.
Yeah, there's so many things you can't really translate directly that are conveyed very well here.
This is a part of the resistance, the origins. Oh, just kidding. Hold on. The
Like,
Resistance universe, the origins. It drops on this Wednesday. Not on this Wednesday, but on Wednesday. Again, AWA. I think it's like the first volumes of the Resistance and some of the other Resistance spin-offs, and then the first issues of like the Joneses and Moss and some of the other ones. And I know Sergio and them spoke on New Think and
yes.
some of the other stuff earlier this month or last month, but I 10 out of 10 recommend. I loved Moths. I loved the Joneses. I think it's really cool what they're doing, especially for $20. You get like 300 pages for
You just don't
$20.
have that happen anytime. Yeah.
No, and you get all the way caught up. Basically, like, come on. And that's not even like a plug, like an ad. Like that's just genuinely like I'm cheap.
You mean frugal?
I'm cheap. And I'll admit it. So
I'm with you on that. I have to be careful with my budget. So this means a lot.
and so for our next read, we're talking Nightwalkers, Colin Bunn, Joe Bocardo, Colin Johnson, and Justin Birch from Source Point Press. So
Yes.
you have the synopsis?
I do. And this one is going to be coming out in mid-January of 2023. So we're very excited to have had a chance to look at it. And this story is about Saren, or as we like to call her, Serene, because we're not sure which way to pronounce her name. And she is an addict in recovery at a rehabilitation center that's really secluded in the mountains, and it's completely isolated from the outside world up there. So when she and the other patients wake up one day and find themselves locked inside and totally abandoned by the center staff, they have to decide whether they should wait there or break out. And the decision is made for them, unfortunately, because there is a bloodthirsty monster that has entered the center and started to tear through them to satiate its lust for blood. Okay, if that synopsis isn't enough for you, let me just tell you how quick these pages turn themselves. This is a really good read. I don't mean to be like, I feel like my inner 13-year-old that first found Stephen King just jumped up and said all that. But and actually, they do have some overlap with some of the projects they're working on here. But Source Point nails it here.
Oh, and absolutely fun because this is a part of his Hustle and Heart Films and
yes.
Source Point Press collaboration
with Vertigo, yeah, and Vertigo Entertainment, that is, and it's Cullen Bunn. Let's just so yeah, this is a really good read, and the premise is somehow, again, the secondary theme tonight is relatable. There's something relatable about the idea of waking up. Everything's changed, and what do? We have a couple of options because things look like when the staff left, they may have had some forethought because they could stay in one place until things turn for the worse. And I can't say much more than that. The other thing I can say is, while we're looking at these shots from the pages, is that for me, they make a playlist start in my head. There's a couple of places where, yes, it's relatable, but it's also terrifying. And like you just said a moment ago, a very adult situation where Colin Bunn has a chance to really do his horror writing at its finest. in my personal opinion. Um, and it's hard to say when you get to the end of it, and don't worry, I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's hard to say whether or not you should feel encouraged or just feel a new level of fright at some of the
No,
things that are happening.
absolutely, because so we meet this girl Serene, and she's
Either
in
way, it's a
this.
cool name. Let's just
Yes,
be honest.
honestly,
Mm-hmm.
truly, not Serene. So in this program, and even by the end of it, it is like kind of alluded to, like, yeah, you just have to like work the steps, you have to work the program,
Right.
and which I thought was a very cool touch, especially,
It was.
well, for, I guess, people familiar with the program, which
Okay.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
not to say that I'm a part of it or anything
No,
like
but
that,
I'm
but
aware of
also
it.
I'm aware of it, which is
Yeah.
also unfortunate, but also it is what it is. So,
Yeah.
I thought it was like, I thought it was very much moving in that sense as a family member, right? As a
Yeah.
family member to somebody who has having to go through that.
Ditto.
And so, but for especially this page,
That page
took
just
me
really
out.
grabbed me. I had to read it 2 or 3 times before I could turn to the next one.
Especially demonizing the counselors before you even get there.
Yes.
Beautiful. And
Yeah.
so, like, so this book, Cullen Bunn, I really feel like, and you know what's so funny? We did a Cullen Bunn book last show,
Oh, that's
Door
right.
by
We did.
Door, which I
Yeah.
really liked.
I enjoyed that too for a whole different set of reasons.
Exact. And so this one for me is like such a bleak, darker tone where you're not really sure what's going on yet, but you have like this group of people in a rehab facility, and all of the counselors are like, hey, lights out early, we're not gonna be here.
Right.
And then they peace out, and it's like, okay, what happened?
What do we do now? Yeah.
And Nightwalkers, you can assume it's probably going to be like a vampire story or something like that. But what I thought was super interesting when I thought about it, I was like, so what does that mean for like a group of people who are addicts? Like, what does their blood mean to people who are seeking blood?
Oh, that's
And
a really
then
good point, too.
for her, the main character, like, spoiler, no spoiler, like, how clean is her blood? Because she's working the program. She's not doing the program, she's working it.
Right.
And so we don't
They're all
really
going to be in different
know.
stages with all that. Yeah.
And a lot of the people who have, they show like some of the newer recruits who have left early because they felt like they were in the early stages of recovery, so they were like, no, I'm out of here.
Right.
And then the people who kind of stayed around, who were like, let's see this through. And so it's really an interesting like story on will versus
that's a good point, too.
like force or voluntary reasons. And the fact that she even decided to stay, to me, is major versus, she could have left. She could have.
It felt like this was when she did that, it was the first time we were clear that she really wanted to be there.
Yeah, because they do kind of joke a lot about, not joke, but like kind of poke fun at each other. Like, what are you, like, you're gonna get us in trouble, what are you even doing here? Because she thinks of herself as like the golden egg.
Yes.
And all of these people who are here,
meaning she has good insurance, right?
Yeah. But this seems to be like an exclusive resort because somebody mentions like, we're all golden goose here.
Right, we're all golden geese. We're all laying the golden egg here. Yeah, because they are the kind of people that can come to somewhere that nice. Sorry, I just had like a upload flashlight, flashlight.
She just happens to be a relapse. She mentions how much her dad has contributed to the facility, and. But I will say this, without giving anything away, because I do think it's a great take on the genre, is, again, you have Cullen Bunn writing horror at a level that's not mainstream.
Right.
And I feel like especially for Source Point Press, like, such a win. It's
Big
such a win. Because it's such a departure from, especially with the content, like, it's relatable or it's not. I'll say that. And for me, having had family members and
the relatable group there,
having had family members in situations that were precarious like this, it's very on brand. It's very touching. It's very, like, the conversations they even have amongst each other. I'm like,
their vulnerabilities.
To me, this is like even scarier than like a traditional scary story, because it's like
that double layer.
Yeah, it's you're doubling down on that.
They might be in danger just from getting out.
Yeah.
Much less the monster that's
So
coming through. Yeah,
very cool. Do you like it?
definitely. I loved it, and I loved all the ways they used the colors in the palette,
Mm-hmm.
especially red. I was when we were talking before we started doing this. I was talking about some of the songs that ran through my head when I don't want to say them all right yet. And yeah, it was just really good. I can't wait to read more. I hope they send more.
Yeah, I can't wait. And even these, and I heard there was like a House of Secrets New York Comic Con exclusive that sold
Mm-hmm.
out immediately. And so I'm curious. I haven't seen it, but I
I
can't
haven't
wait to
seen
see
it
it.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to sharing that. But yeah, definitely make sure you get your. I didn't check when the FOC was.
Soon.
It's I know.
And so this isn't necessarily a teaser, but more so like a proper acknowledgement of release.
Kudos. Yes.
Yeah. So if you want to speak on it.
Sure. So if you haven't had a chance to hear about it lately, I, here is the most wonderful book that I've seen in a very long time and unique called It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth by Zoe Thorogood. It's published through Image, and it's an autobiographical, which I love the way she breaks it down on the title too,
Oh
because it
yeah,
is,
autobiographic novel.
yeah, it is an autobiographic novel, literally and figuratively. And just released electronically and in press this month. And it's just such, dare I say, transcendent
Mm-hmm. And we got a
read.
little Saitama cameo right here. One Punch Man and the cup. Okay. Um, no, I absolutely agree with you. I feel like I've seen a lot of people talk about this book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Same.
interesting to me to see who's been talking about it and how I would think that they relate to it.
It's a wide range of people that all of
Mm-hmm.
which I was not expecting to be so connected to this material.
Absolutely. For me, it was absolutely a mental illness
Me too.
connection.
Same. Anxious depression.
And I don't want to like, cause she does like, there is a point where she's like relatable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not relatable, but it's so funny because I was like, this is probably the most relatable book I've ever read in my whole life. And even this page right here, like, you know, like, and even lingering on, like, you know, in here we have her intrusive thoughts,
Yes.
you know, at play, and then
Making
her
themselves
kind of
shown.
dampering it with alcohol and other things for her to get through what she needs to get through. And I'm just
Yes.
like, and the why can't you be happy and the other slogans where she feels her
Oof.
are attacking her. And no, I absolutely agree. I'm just like, no, it
Which
really
may or
be
may
like
not feel
that.
personal when I see them too.
Yeah,
Yes.
even here inviting her intrusive thoughts to kill her, because I don't know how many times I'm just like driving.
Yes.
Oh no, I shouldn't say that, but yeah, I'll be
Okay, I know,
driving and
but
I'll be like, if I
I
fall
shouldn't have
off,
just burst
I
out.
fall
You
off.
too. Where I'm white knuckling. Yeah. Not, I mean, theoretically,
Theoretically,
hypothetically speaking, a person might
if
be in
my
a situation,
car goes off the edge here, it goes off.
and I may or may not have yanked it really hard when we were near it. Just saying, may or may not have fought that urge before. So yeah, um, and it's not just told; it's also shown.
Mm-hmm.
So since she is the artist and the writer in the story, she brings, well, let me rephrase that. Even if it were a team working together, just the way that she gets into such a range of ways to represent what's going
Mm-hmm.
on. So, and maybe that's why it's relatable to such a wide range of people. There's so many different ways to connect with the material,
Mm-hmm.
across the visual and spoken, story that you see. And it's a perfect example of how when you're trying to be universal, you need to be as personal and individualized as possible, because she is definitely not trying to tell anybody's story but her own. But when you're reading it, it feels like a little bit of everybody's story.
For sure. And
Yeah.
even like here, it's
Just
like
one of my favorite splash pages.
it's so funny because it's like, oh no, I know I recognize all of these things on your page, boo. But also the Shin Ramen Black is my favorite cup noodle.
Right? There were so many times when I was like, wait, I know what that met is.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. There may or may not be that ramen in the other room right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just how big her
The
like,
monster.
yeah,
Like to you,
her,
somebody made the literal monster, and I need it.
it, well, do you need it or do you need
I,
help?
well, since you put it that way, I
So
might
I'm gonna tell
need
you,
both.
out of all the pages in the book, this one, like all of it, truly resonated with me for real.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not even. It's really
There's no
rare
way
to
to
see it.
overstate it
Yeah,
for either of us, I don't think.
really a. It's really rare to see your brand of mental illness depicted in a story, and so for it to be so spot on, and by somebody so young too, and it's just like really thinking about it, and it's just like, wow, like I've really been suffering with this for that long, that like I feel like you're that young, you know what I mean? And even here where she was like, small talk is unnatural, and she just makes everything like super awkward, and so she's like, so she refused to try. If when I tell you, I've never read or seen anything more on brand for me personally in a book, because I'm the worst at small talk. I legit will just let other people just say stuff, and then I'm just like clammed up, and then sometimes I'll be like, oh, how are you, and then it's like, it's weird, uncomfortable, I just don't say nothing back.
Because although I'm normally good at small talk, when I'm having a moment, that's the first thing that leaves me. I mean, hypothetically.
For me, it's like,
Is it too late?
it's like a dread. When I know I have
Mm-hmm.
to speak to somebody, even like minutely, it stresses me out to the point where I just don't want to do it anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
so, kudos to being married, because I honestly don't know how I would do anything without my husband, not like in like a weird, in a, yes,
No, I know
no,
you.
no, absolutely in a weird way, because it's not normal. I should be able to do stuff on my own, but I
And
but
you
I
can.
can't, because my social anxiety is so hard that like I'm just like, can you go do this? Can you go? And so the other day we had to renew our lease, and I was like dreading it.
Oh,
I was like, please don't have to call me in, please don't. And I'm just in the house like praying like, please. And I'm not even religious. I'm just like, please, please. And then
but
he
we will
came
all
back.
find that prayer on that day.
And he came home. He came back from the front office, and he was like, "You just have to sign this year." And I was like, "Thank you." I did not want to have to go to the front office.
Oh gosh.
I just don't. I just don't know how to interact with people, and I think that stems from, you know, having missed that grade of school, and then having only been isolated with my dad. So I'm just not very social after that. Because even in high school, it was like, I feel like I had the capability of being like sociable, being
Mm-hmm.
like a popular kid. But I was so wrapped up in my own head that I would only go to the library. I'm eating in the library. People would want to hang out with me, and I'd be like, oh, I'm busy because I'm in the library eating a tuna sandwich.
The only reason I didn't get to do that is because they had attendance at lunchroom in our school.
Really?
Yes. Yes, we had to show up or we were in trouble.
So it's only lonely. And the void was here, and it was beautiful. These pages are so pretty, because like I really feel like people don't understand the nuances
No, they don't.
of
My
depression
voice
and
is
mental
leaving
illness,
before.
and it's not that it's all bad. There's such beauty that comes out of that stuff sometimes, like we're literally looking at an example of that. Like, it's only at the center of the earth is a literal example of what can come from like that mental
That,
space.
that
And this
focus.
one with the punch.
Yeah.
I felt that because every time I get like a notice like, hey, we're coming to inspect the apartment, I'm like, oh, I gotta be fucking social now.
Yeah, this was visceral.
Mm-hmm.
That feeling. Yeah.
And I think that's every time we're like forced into a social setting
Feels like someone's
where,
shaking you by your shoulders.
yeah, even if it's expected, it's like, no, I did not agree to this.
No. Like somehow you think you're going to stave it off, but there it is.
But what I really liked about this book was how she interacted with her child self,
Her other selves. Yeah.
her teen self, and then like her her like what would you call that self? The one that's like, no.
Yeah.
Her
Her
nonchalant self.
that voice that's inside her head that she knows she shouldn't let speak all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it does. That's the best way I can put it. It can't be more succinct than that for me.
There's one page in here I showed my daughter. Like, I don't think she's I don't think my kid is old enough. She's 11. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that the feelings in this book are experienced throughout
They are definitely grown-up
people of
feelings.
all ages.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't quite think that she's quite there for this. But I did show her that page where she was holding up that childhood drawing she made.
Oh, yes.
And I showed it to my daughter because my 11-year-old loves to draw. She draws original characters, she draws comic book stuff, and I just showed it to her to show her, like, you know, look at how cool this is that she's showing this page in her adult comic book of her as a child, like the
Yes.
progress she's made since then. And look, you have people who support you.
Right. Look how lucky you are.
This person did not have that same support growing up, and so for me, like, me and my husband, we've always been on the same page with when it comes to art. Like, I don't think of art as being any less than any other subject,
Mm.
and my daughter knows that. And listen, we pay for it.
Right.
She has a monthly Amazon list of things, or even not even Amazon,
Bless
but
her
like
heart.
she has a monthly list of supplies she has to have.
I still miss going to the store when I was brave enough to take some graphic arts classes.
Yeah, let me tell you, the clay I have under my nails right now because she asked me to sculpt some stuff with her today.
Oh,
So I absolutely love this for that, but also I can completely empathize with the parents' reluctance to acknowledge her career as a proper field.
right.
Not me as a myself, but like
No,
more,
no, just
yeah.
having met with that kind of resistance.
And this is the one that was like, it was relatable, and she's just like, I'm so tired of hearing people say it's relatable.
Right.
And she like, and it's
She
so
gets very
funny
meta.
because yeah, and so for me it was like, I'm like trying not to say it's relatable, but hey boo,
But it
sorry.
is. Sorry, Zoe. It's totally relatable.
It's totally, and even at your age, and listen, guess what? I'm 33. It doesn't get better.
I was gonna say, and and it's still,
I know people will say it gets better, but hey boo, guess what? It gets tolerable.
yeah, yeah. That's the real subtitle. It gets better, no, but it does get tolerable.
We might have to change the episode name to that. It gets
It
tolerable.
gets tolerable. That's catchy. I think that might be the name. It gets
It
tolerable.
gets tolerable. And then
Yeah.
this one took me out
Oh
all
my
the way.
gosh.
Because she
Yeah.
was like, once she realized, like, oh, people are going to actually read this?
Yeah. I might want to think about that part.
But hilarious. Super appreciate this book. It was super fun. It wasn't even that it was fun. It was just
Well,
that it was so relatable at every turn that it made my stomach hurt.
and the way that those you might be at your lowest moment, but there's like a little moment of humor that makes you get through it.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what, for me, for that was, and I said this on the show, was like her relationship with her friend, and it reminded me so
Yes.
much of mine with Leah,
Mm-hmm.
friend of the show, because
Hi, Leah.
when we first met, I like genuinely felt like she thought that I was personable. So let's get into, I guess, this. So we're just gonna really speak on some of the shows we've been watching lately. And let's start things off with Tara.
Well, I know I'm late to the party, but for some reason, Yellowstone, I'm really vibing with you right now. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's because the prequels are rolling right now. I've forgotten the 2 years. All of a sudden, I was about to say 1899, but there's 1923 that's about to come out. And what's the other year isn't it in the 1800s?
Can I ask you a question? When does this take place? Is it modern?
It's in the present, yeah. It
Okay.
doesn't say the exact time, but it's modern day. It reminds me of, I was trying to think of how I would pitch it.
Is
And
it
it's
kind of
kind of,
like Justified?
okay, it does have a little Justified flavor too. Thank you for
Mm-hmm.
that. But I was thinking The Sopranos and Succession on horses.
Okay.
That was my first thought. But you're right about
I don't
Justified
know if they
too.
would all fit on horses. But...
But it's all there.
it's all
There
there.
are elements of both. Yeah, there are elements of the mafia in this family, and there are elements of the who's going to take over when daddy steps down.
Daddy Costner.
Yeah.
Papa
when
Kev.
when Papa Kev takes a little break, yeah. Who's going to be next in line, and like you can tell which kid really wants it the most, and who looks like they don't care but obviously cares. There's a lot going on here, and it's just very engrossing. And I can't say, I'm trying to think in real life. Well, yeah, I know who I would hang out with in real life. I would want to hang out with Beth. She's a rabble rouser, but it's just good. And I keep, whenever I have like a free moment in between World Cup games.
How many seasons is it right now?
Aren't they coming into they're coming into the 5th season? And
I might have to check it out. I love a binge is more than one season.
Yeah. And so I'm still like towards the end of the first season, and still very excited about the whole thing. I can't tell you how many times I've thought I was starting, but this is the first time that I felt like, ooh, do I have a minute? Let me go see what I can watch right now. Like that, like when you have a book that you can't put down, so you carry it just in case.
Which is something I actually wanted to touch on, because a clip from Alan Moore recently came back up where he was saying that, like, you can't know good without the bad. And he was saying, like, how it's good to read stuff you don't like. It's good to watch stuff you don't like, because it kind of gives you that middle ground of, like, where you should be at and where you shouldn't be at. And I absolutely agree, because Colleen Hoover, she's awful. She's an awful author, and I'll say that until I'm blue in the face. But listen, have I read Verity? Have I read them? And I do, and I read them because I'm like, there's no way this could be.
Oh, I've hate read.
Yeah, there's no way. And I read it, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But then I'm like, also at the same time, I'm like, when I order, like, place my grocery orders and stuff on Target, I'm like, Colleen Hoover.
They keep coming in and out of my cart. Yes. It's on sale today. Okay, it's not on sale today. Okay, no, next time.
Absolutely. And so I really feel like,
I thought that was just me.
No, it's not. And so it's so when I saw that quote from him the other day on
Twitter,
subtitle,
I was like, just me.
No, I absolutely agree, because it's the way, like, when I watch TV, even, like, okay, I could watch a show, a Kevin Costner led, like, period drama, Yellowstone, but I'm also gonna watch Below Deck, I'm also gonna watch Real Housewives of
that all fits together in my
Salt
universe.
Lake City.
Yes.
And to me it makes sense. It all coincides. Like, I have to know what's not good to know what's good. And for me, the not good stuff is just as fun as the good stuff.
Yes, because this is going to sound weird, but I need stuff that I'm totally engaged in, and I need stuff that I can do other stuff, and it's on the background, and I'm not upset if I miss a minute or two of it, which is that other stuff for me. And it's just as much of a need and a comfort to have the mid stuff to go to. But, like, the stuff that I'm really absorbed in, I get in a bad mood if I can't totally watch it, and nobody wants to be with that person.
Oh no, I absolutely agree.
So yeah, I need the other stuff.
And this is one of my picks, The Calling. It's on Peacock. I think there's like 8 to 10 episodes. And you have this like Jewish detective, Avraham. That's literally his name. And it's so interesting because he's like a devout, Jewish detective.
Orthodox.
Yeah, it's very orthodox. And he has this partner, Janine, who is like, hey, if I quote the Torah, you kind of have to make me your partner.
Kind of got to love that.
Yeah. And then you have Karen Robinson. She was on Schitt's Creek.
I know exactly who you're
she plays
about.
The captain on here. And then you even, like, you have you have Stephanie, I don't know how to say her last name, Sozak. She was on A Million, what was that show, A Million?
Oh,
I watched that show too. A Million. Say it.
I can't think of it.
A million?
Not A Million Pieces. Not a million.
Is it A Million Pieces? A Million?
I don't think it is.
Hold on, I'm about to Google.
Okay.
Is it A Million Pieces? Because A Million Little Things.
A Million Little Things. A Million Pieces is a different
love
book.
that show.
Yeah.
A Million Little Things. I love that show, especially following This Is Us. I thought it was like the perfect ensemble after that. But that's the mom on the show. She actually is on this show, and then you have Chris Sullivan, who played Toby on This Is Us.
Oh yeah.
He's in this, and there's a lot of people in this show where you're like, oh, like Constance Zimmer from Unreal.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah, I loved Unreal. Listen,
I loved Unreal. Oh, special.
We might do a special 10 out of 10. Unreal is one of the best shows to ever bless.
And no one's ever heard of it.
And it's so good. I think
good.
it's because it was Lifetime, but it's one of the best shows ever. And so she's on it, and ironically, she plays a daycare provider.
Oh, that's such a counterpoint. Yes. Oh yeah, that's we're putting that on the books.
So he's a super orthodox detective, and I'm not gonna lie. There's like, I think it's kind of set up into like 8 pieces, where it's like the first half is one case that trickles into the second case, which is the latter half of the season. Mm-hmm. And listen, I'm not gonna lie, the end of the first 4 episodes, I was like, what? And then when it started I genuinely was like, what's happening? And it's so good, genuinely.
Sounds like me watching The Sinner. Sometimes.
Yeah, I came across it randomly, and I'm so glad I did, because it's honestly an excellent, viewing. 10 out of 10, do recommend.
Nice.
And then you have...
Speaking of things we recommend, the mystery that is 1899, and no spoilers coming here, but yeah, so 1899 is about a bunch of people on a ship traveling in the Atlantic Ocean at the turn of the century, and that is kind of all I can say because
spoiler, 1900 is right after.
Yes. Yeah, sorry.
From the people who did Dark.
From the people who brought you Dark, yes. Mm-hmm. And it's quite a creative team, and it's good to see them reunite. And this is another one of those situations when we were talking before about how you see people that you've seen somewhere, or see someone that you think you know from something, but you're not sure. Some of the people in here are looking familiar to me, but it's very mysterious, very moody. How can I put it? There are parts of it that remind me of Inception.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm anxious to see how it all... Yeah, I don't want to ruin it for the other people, because
I'm only 2 episodes in myself.
And I'm close to where you are, so I don't want to ruin it. But there's a whole lot of crazy going on in this, and it's compelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I like about it so much, is because it is like, okay, so what, Titanic is what, 1912?
I think so.
And so the fact that I have such a Titanic heart on, and for it to be so close to it, I'm just like, yes, I love a ship in peril.
Right.
And hold on, let's housekeeping. Sorry, I did that. I was gonna give Showtime a plug. Well, what happened on Showtime?
On HBO Max, the Showtime is in the Lakers story, as in by Rodney Barnes and company.
Yeah.
What happened on it? Literally, what happened on it? Okay, so really,
yes.
It's about what happened in the 80s, when I might or might not have remembered what happened back then for real. I do. And it's about the
you weren't there, but you were there, because I don't want to bring up later what happens and then you were there, and then it's like
oh, that kind of yeah
she was adjacent.
I was adjacent. That's true, but yeah, it's about the rise of the way the NBA is today. It's about when things changed over, when Jerry Buss became the owner, and it's really good, and all the actors are wonderful, and I may be family with one of the actors. I don't want to bias anyone.
Did we already play the housekeeping thing?
I thought, yeah. I thought so.
Do you want to play it again?
Just in case? Just to make it clear what we're doing. Mm-hmm. It's mea culpa time.
Hey guys, it's us again. Hey, I'm not quite sure where we're at in life right now, but all right, bye.
So, on that note, bye.
Just say bye. Just say bye abruptly.
Bye abruptly.